A few weeks ago, a dev that made a game called Metal Garden got in touch with me through my email. Here's how he pitched this game to me. Metal Garden is a short, atmospheric FPS game about traveling through an overgrown megastructure, inspired by massive industrial architecture and channeling the visuals of mid-2000s FPS games. Metal Garden is a compact and tightly designed shooter campaign, a jaunt through a distant yet recognizable world, with a heavy focus on exploration and level design. I thought the game might be up your alley. In case it sounds interesting to you, I've embedded a Steam key below. Hey, Jarek here. I'm a dragon on the internet, and he's right. This is up my alley. To clarify, this video is not sponsored. He didn't send me any money or anything like that. He just wanted me to play his game. He is very right though. Early to mid 2000s FPS games are what this entire channel is based off of. It's easily my favorite era in first-person shooters. It's an era that is pretty much dead at this point in the AAA space, yet indies are keeping it alive. And VR games. This translates to VR games very well, but that's not relevant today. Looking online, I see this game being described as a Halo-like, but I'm not really seeing that. It just seems more inspired by early to mid-2000s FPS games in general. I can see the environment being kind of inspired by Halo 3. Like, this area does sort of look like Savo Highway, just instead of lots of orange and blue, there's just gray. So it's Halo Reach. That was a joke. Calm down, calm down. I think Reach has by far the best art style out of any Halo game. Shit is rather gray though. Anyway, let's just get into what is by far the strongest aspect of the game. It is the atmosphere. Being in this megastructure is just lonely. The best kind of immersive games make you ask questions. Where am I? What is the purpose of this megastructure? Why are there giant guns? What happened to turn this place into a ghost town? What happened to cause these ruins? What are these windmill-looking structures? What are these giant gears turning? Why are these people fighting? Are those buffaloes? The heck? What the hell is that creature? This game just has such a strong art direction despite being 90% gray. Plus this general feeling of loneliness and letting the player explore at their own pace. I love this kind of game. I love this sort of atmosphere. This exact feeling is what I really like out of Borderlands 1. Borderlands 1 really did just feel like you were on a desert, empty hellscape of a planet, all alone, left to figure it out. The other Borderlands games don't really have this atmosphere, and you're not really left alone. You can't go more than 5 seconds without Gearbox humor popping up.
Butt Stallion?
It's one of the things I really miss about FPS games of that era. They weren't afraid of silence. They were allowing the player to occupy their own thoughts, to really take in the environment around them. Nowadays, it feels like games have to be at a speed that fits TikTok. Something always has to be shoved to you. You need to have the fastest movement possible. There must always be combat. You shouldn't be allowed to think about anything for 5 seconds. Pay attention to my game. Hey, pay attention. My point being here is that Metal Garden has a very strong sense of being. This is a place. You were pulled into a place. Okay, but what are you doing here? Well, you are a nomad, searching for scrap, trapped in this great megastructure. Early in the game, I found a decimated squad of cheetah men? Yeah, there are furries in this game. Don't think about it too much, I'll explain later. Reading through one of their PDAs, it seems they found something interesting. A way to escape this structure, but they've been slaughtered. Some of this king's own men turned against him. Someone doesn't want you getting out of this structure. Anyone getting out of this structure. People have tried to drill through the walls, but they're too strong, too thick. A ventilation shaft or something seems like your best bet to see whatever lies in the outside world. You see, everyone has been here for generations. No one knows what lies beyond. And as soon as someone finds a way to get out, they've been slaughtered. Alright, spoiler warning, I'm gonna start talking about the end of the game. If you don't wish to be spoiled, then skip to this time code, or just skip forward in the chapter below. After wandering around the entire game, you do find that ventilation shaft, which leads you here, to this massive circular thing. Reading a terminal nearby reveals what this megastructure is. It is a counterweight world, a core to a much larger structure. Its purpose is to stabilize the structure's orbit. However, this core required a large maintenance team. In order to aid said maintenance team, they would seed new species. That's how you're here, how the cheetah men are here, how the buffalo are here, how that weird water dinosaur looking thing is here. Well, after you get into an elevator, this game has a scroll of text describing you looking out over the vastness of this core. Then it just kind of ends. Oh, that was the whole game? I mean, it was fun, but the ending was kind of underwhelming. Well, that explains what the structure is, but it doesn't explain how the place was put to ruin, nor do you even escape. They're probably setting up a sequel, but it's very abrupt and kind of disappointing. I mean, this end scroll here implies that the elevator has been dormant for who knows, centuries? Thousands of years? Who were the initial people that built this megastructure? Have you been left completely on your own? Have they gone to some other parts of the universe? Who knows what's happening here? So many questions left unanswered. And while that can be a positive thing, this ending is very abrupt and honestly kind of sucks. I don't think it takes away from the rest of the game, but I'm not really that happy about it. Alright, so how's the gameplay? Well, the map design really impressed me. It's a linear game, sure, but Metal Garden does not shy away from giving you a massive environment to explore. This whole room is one giant platforming puzzle, yet I never got stuck or lost on what to do. Speaking of platforming, because this is kind of important, you cannot air brake in this game. You have pretty much no control over yourself in the air. Keep that in your mind, or you will overshoot your jumps. Oh god, you keep your momentum. Thank god for clambering. You have no aerial control. Anyway, if you're not thrown into a giant room like this, which only happens a couple of times, and both times are very visually interesting, like this massive glass dome freeway interchange, which is designed in a vertical way, meaning you have to climb up and out of it, which is inherently more interesting than just walking through it. But other times you'll have a situation where you'll find a locked door that you know you need a key to unlock, and then you'll spend the next 30-40 minutes going through different paths, different puzzles, fighting a bunch of enemies, just to end up back at this locked door with the key. And you didn't even realize you were doing that. Like, I can't stress enough, the map design in this game is really good. It's not just a hallway corridor shooter. I don't know if it gives the impression that it is, because everything is gray and sometimes you are in hallways, but it's still not a hallway shooter. You get what I'm saying here. As for the combat, it's serviceable, but by far the game's weakest aspect. There's only 3 enemies, and none of them are particularly smart. There are 2 kinds of these old-timey looking dudes. The first kind has a pistol. They kind of just walk straight at you, shooting at you. They have no self-preservation, they have no other tactic, they will just walk at you. Thankfully, their guns aren't hit scan, so you can dodge their shots, making them not frustrating, but you still have to take them seriously. Then you have these snipers, which are fine. A laser points at you when they're about to shoot, they're pretty straightforward, I have no complaints. As for those cheetah men, yeah, there are furry enemies in this game, and I'm pretty happy to see this. Not because of the furry bias or something like that, but because it's interesting. It's something different. I'm tired of seeing sci-fi universes and it's just human. Come on, you have so many different aliens you can make. There's so many different species you could make. So much wildlife you can put into your universes. Shit, give me furries. I don't care. Just give me something more interesting than just human. Unfortunately, they don't really do a whole lot with making this interesting. They don't really explain where they came from or who they are. They're just a different enemy type. In this case, they walk at you with a giant blade, and that's it. There's also no visual indication of you taking damage from them other than your health bar going down. A little flash of red would do wonders here, maybe even flinch slightly. What I do like about the enemies is that when one of them spots you, they'll blow a horn or let out a roar. This makes it seem like the enemies are actually communicating instead of just being mentally linked. Because one spotted you and suddenly they all know exactly where you are doesn't make any sense. Games with stealth mechanics could learn a lot from this. As for the guns, this is the weakest part of the game. They don't sound strong, the recoil doesn't give a sense of power and is overall very static. There's no impact on target until the enemy's ragdoll, and there's only 3 guns. The pistol is probably the most interesting design, with a weird front-loading magazine. It's also the only gun in the game with an actual reloading animation instead of just miming something on a part of the gun that you can't see. This is the weakest gun in the game. It feels weak, it is weak, and I mean, it's serviceable and accurate, but not a whole lot to say. It's not particularly satisfying to use. The shotgun is probably the strongest feeling, not the strongest overall. You can down an enemy in 2 shots, but it's still not a shotgun. They don't go flying backward and launch them upon death or anything like that. It could be much better. Also, boy, is it ugly. This thing is just a box. Yeah, that is definitely one of my bigger complaints. These guns don't look great. They're just wide boxes. I feel like with a strange world like this, you could really have some interesting industrial weapon designs, but box. The sniper is probably the best designed one. Not winning any awards in that category, but at least it looks more interesting, and overall it's fine. It doesn't feel the strongest, but it does one-shot headshot, and that is a pretty useful tool when it comes to this game. This means, with these being the only 3 weapons in the game, there's oddly no fully automatic weapons. No SMG, no auto shotgun, no assault rifle. Strange. On the flip side, the health mechanics are really interesting. You have a standard health bar, yes, but if you lose all of your health, a certain part of your body will be hurt. Then you get a debuff depending on what part of your body is hurt. For example, if your torso is hurt, you have a smaller health pool. If your shoulder is hurt, your ADS aim is worse. If your leg is hurt, your sprint speed is slower, and so on and so forth. In order to repair your damaged limbs, you need to find an auto surgery unit, which aren't too rare. I like this way more than the typical bandage systems that most games use. Those can feel like frustrating RNG. This doesn't. It's basically just another health bar, but now with a debuff. There is also a pretty decent final boss, but I won't spoil that for you. So, is Metal Garden worth it? Well, despite the negativity I have towards the combat, I think the overall experience is really neat. The feeling of loneliness, the atmosphere, the story they're building to the world behind this megastructure is all fascinating stuff. And while the combat could be drastically improved, I don't think it's bad. I just think it's serviceable. It's not really your motivation to be playing the game. I don't even think it was the devs' main motivation to make the game, frankly. The game is pretty short. You can beat it in around an hour and a half to 2 hours. But it's also only $6, so I think this is fine. It's a good time waster to get yourself lost in a game for a short period of time if you want to, and as I discussed in a previous video, I'm enjoying shorter games the older I get. Hey, big thanks to my YouTube members. These guys get to see all my stuff early. If you want to see my stuff early, then check it out. It's right next to the subscribe button. If you want to help me by checking out my other videos just like this one, then here's a big playlist of stuff just like this, and a recommended one here. Or you can just click this and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. See you next time.